I had a horror story, and my security deposit in my previous office, it was $24,000. So the agents are always saying this, right? Don't worry lah, and wear and tear is normal, But when it comes to handover, right, wow, suddenly become like enemy And the $24,000 was siphoned away. It is a very exciting day for us today because this is the first time ever we are launching an episode on the LEASE IT series. Not Locked It, not Invest It, not our new launch reviews, but our LEASE IT series where we share with you some horror stories of leasing and also some stories as to how we are able to get units at top prices when it comes to renting it out, right?
Yes.
So today, of course, I have with me my team lead of leasing, Lucas Chiu, who has gone missing from camp sometime already.
Yes.
Yeah, the last time he appeared was at Newsdash.
Yeah.
Newsdash. And that was 1 year back. And people are like, asking, hey, where's Newsdash? Why no more Newsdash, right?
Yeah.
And the reason behind that is because, Lucas has spent the past 1 year plus trying to figure out how to build the perfect SOP. We're still perfecting it, right?
Yeah.
Operations to help landlords lease at the top price to maximize the profits. And also, how can we create SOP to protect tenants' interest when it comes to leasing as well, right? So as you know, if you are someone that's new to this channel, we just want to say the customary, please remember to like, subscribe, share with your friends who may be landlords, who may be tenants, who need some help. And there will be a QR code that appear right now. And this QR code is going to be the contact form they can contact.
Yeah.
Let's say if you have a unit to lease out or you're someone facing some tenancy issues, please contact J. right, our client care executive. And there's going to be something that is for you guys. We have prepared something for you. The leasing team has decided that we are going to focus on 2 target audience today. In this QR code, in this contact form, if you are a tenant wondering what is the full process to protect your interest, please scan the QR code. We want to send you a free kit for you to DIY your own renting, and also for landlords. If you're wondering, hey, now I'm leasing my unit out, is it the top price? What's the highest price we can go? And you hate valuation and you hate looking at past transaction, we have a way for you to identify what your top price is. So please scan your QR code so that we can help you do like a valuation check for the current rental price in the market, right? So today's objective of the video is actually just to launch and explain to you guys what is the reason behind us launching a leasing team. Never in my entire career have I ever imagined that I would have a leasing team, because this was never a market that I want to focus on. Knowing the horror stories that I have to go through, knowing the amount of effort we have to put in, and also understanding the margins as a business owner, right, that we have to be okay with to launch a leasing team.
Yeah.
But thankfully, of course, Lucas is sitting beside me because he has risen up. Just 1.5 years ago, he was doing mass market selling and he was like, you know what? Let me just step up and do this, man. There are so many burdens that he's going to share later on that, make him feel that, hey, I think something has to change for the leasing market, right?
Yes.
So tell me a little bit more, how did this whole leasing team started? Right?
Yeah, definitely when we first started talking about it, you were very apprehensive. You're like, huh? Do leasing? Why? But we've been serving our investment clients very well.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And because of the number of investment clients that have been growing in numbers, as their new launch and as their
resale investments.
Resale also, yes. As they came into getting their keys and things like that, then we start to realize that we really need to serve them to the best of our abilities.
That's right.
Because they were getting agents, right, to do the rental for them.
We're like subbing it out.
And not doing the best job.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, hey, I can do a better job.
That's right. And I remember very fondly because last year, predominantly, we actually have done a lot of resale investment for our clients, where our strategy was to identify resale units where with some rental revitalization, we're able to get a higher rent for their unit to be able to cover their mortgage and have positive cash flow, right? And then when we realized that we had this plan and we thought it was quite straightforward, so sometimes we sub it out to other agents to do it, and we realized that it didn't follow to plan. So I remember there was one day, you came to me and said, bro, since agents can't do it, then why not we do our clients justice and let's start this leasing team and we just do it right? And I said, are you sure you want to take on this tough market?
Yeah.
And he prayed about it. And I think we discussed this for at least 2-3 months. You're like, you sure?
Yeah.
And you're like a convicted, yes, I want to take it out and I want to change the market, right?
Yeah.
So tell me a bit more as well. Sorry to interrupt you, but just...
No. There's just this one more challenge, right, about the rental market that in the industry is seen as like the rental agent is like less than a selling agent for some reason. But I tell you, the processes is way more, it's more difficult. I mean, if you're a proper agent, right, doing your best work, there's actually a lot more to be concerned about in the rental market.
I will understand why people feel that leasing agents are less than the selling agents or the buying agents. Because number one, some people, they feel that leasing is something that is very easy to lease it out. It's actually true that it's easy to lease units out if you don't want to hit record price. Because you can just put it in the market, lowball your price, and then people will take it. Especially in the past few years where, a lot of buyers are facing delays of their home, combination of the BTO, leasing market was at the boom. It was not hard to get units rented at top-notch price, right? But in the recent years, especially after the rental market has declined a little, you see that there's increasing competition in the market.
Yes.
And we have to be even more creative, playing with our margins to know how much cost we should put into every unit, because sometimes you can lose money when I'm doing the business, right?
Yeah.
So, doing home staging, virtual staging, doing painting work for the clients and so many things, right? With the main goal of helping them lease at the top price, right? And number two reason is because I think it's the experiences that people actually experience.
Yes.
Because a leasing agent, knowing that their margins are low, they will feel that, hey, why must I give so much effort, right? I mean, like, they will think you pay peanuts, you get monkeys.
Yeah.
That's why something that blows my mind, right, is why did you want to take up leasing? Okay, let's just talk a little bit more about the genesis. We heard about the story about how, we had a lot of resale investors who bought the unit. We wanted to rent out for them. And maybe share with me a little bit more about some of the burdens that you felt in the market, right? What are some burdens that you feel and you're like, you know what, bro? I remember you telling me, nah. I remember this. He came to my room and he said this, I'm sure we can do a better job. I say, yes, Lucas, I know we can do a better job. But do we really want to do this job in the leasing market? You say, yes, definitely, I want to do it. So tell me some of the burdens that let you feel like, I want to do this.
I think it comes from the heart for our clients, right? They trusted us to choose an investment property for them. And then if we don't help them with the rental, right, and we pass it on to somebody else to do it, then what if they don't get the rental that they need?
That we predicted.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? And then a lot of their plans also involve selling after 3 years.
Yes.
Right? And we also need the tenant to be the right profile.
Yeah.
The house to be well furnished.
Correct.
We have to keep the future in mind that we are eventually going to have to sell this with the tenancy, right?
Because there's so many rental horror stories that we're going to share in the next few episodes, right? About how tenants screw out the entire place, run away, never paid the security deposit. Yes, it's forfeited, but ran away, but the damage is way more than security deposit.
Yes. And I must say, when a lot of these agents are not specialists, because I must say, if you look at the industry, there are some agents who are better in it than others. Yeah. But very few will tell their clients, I specialize in rental.
Yeah.
Right? Most of the time, it's just for cash flow in between sales and things like that.
That's right. That's right.
Yes. So,
and one thing that I recall very fondly when I realized that, Lucas, yes, you are definitely up for the task, right? Is I'm not sure whether you remember a couple of units that we sold at Orange Grove Residences. And also we sold a couple of units at CCI Market, Goodwood, and everything, right? And I remembered that we had, and even Treasure Tampines, right? I recalled that we had very difficult tenant to handle.
Yes.
To a level where the tenant tell the owner, say, hey, we are going to only have viewings once every single month at 1 hour time slot.
Yeah.
And the time slot is like maybe Friday afternoons that no one can make it on, right? And he said, it's not a contract, right? The tenancy is not a contract, right? And Marina One Residences as well. I remember that we had very bad horror stories where the tenant said they don't smoke, they smoke, the whole marble floor is all black and tainted. This was leased out by another realtor.
Yeah.
And they just refused to open the door.
Yes.
And the landlords and the owners, I kid you not, they all came to us and say, guys, it's our unit, I feel that. But we cannot even control the tenant because it's already rented out already. And the agent that leased it out, nowhere to be found already.
Yeah.
And I remember Lucas, with the courage and guts, and this is why it's so hard to find a good leasing agent, because you need courage, you need guts, and you need to be okay with the low margins in the business, right? He went to all of these units, met up with the tenants, bought cake for the tenants, bought pastries for the tenants, like kind of a modern day bribery. But actually, it's not really bribery because we really wanted to win the heart of the tenant.
Yes.
Right? And because tenant, of course, their gut is high because they want their space, right? No? It's like they lease this place, they want their space, don't disturb them, quiet enjoyment, right? He won the heart, and I saw how the listing turned around, and we could not only make the tenant happy, our listing team that is led by Geraldine and Charlie in the different markets were able to sell at the top price for the landlord as well, for the owners as well.
Yeah.
That was when I said you have a gift. And this is the reason why now he's leading it lah. And because after that, he did a lot of record-breaking transactions for leasing specifically.
Yeah.
Units that cannot be rented out, he took it, he listed it, it got tenants on you lah. Amen to that lah. So we talked a little bit more about how you had the burden to help these people because you felt that there must be a specialist that, handles this market. And you feel that there's a lot more things to do. So what about the representation of tenants as well as landlords that you feel that you really want to stand up for? Is there any specific instance that you feel like,
So one of the most important processes, right, in the whole tenancy process is actually the handover. It must be very well done. Otherwise, if there's dispute, both landlord tenant argue about the condition of certain things, right? Then the security deposit will kena makan.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
And I've seen so many times that agents themselves, when they were doing handover, and when I first started business, I was also guilty of that, because I didn't know that I take so many photos, which will share with you what's the difference between in our leasing team, right? When the challenges that we face, what are the things that we do better, right? That we just take a phone and then we just screen through the entire room because we think that it's not bad. Or video at least, like can pause, right? Then you realize when you pause, right, you can't see the detail.
Yes.
Right? And I believe you have heard a fair share of tenants losing their security deposit, right? And even tenants getting scammed of their security deposit, right?
Yes.
And sometimes because they are expats or they are foreigners, especially they don't know Singapore's law that well, that is actually a law that governs really well, then they just let the landlord makan their deposit, right?
But actually, it goes both ways. I've also seen where the tenant has trashed the place, right? But then because there was no proper handover, the landlord could not find the legal means to actually claim the security deposit from the tenant.
Absolutely. I had a horror story, and my security deposit in my previous office, it was $24,000.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't take handover photos because I didn't represent myself as the agent because the agent didn't want to cooperate with me. And I felt that this space was perfect for J&A Real Estate. Upon the handover, there was no photos to prove that the damages that were there. I already talked before with the landlord agent last time. Is there already? They said, so the landlord agent is always saying this, right? Don't worry lah, and wear and tear is normal, But when it comes to handover, right, wow, suddenly become like enemy. And the $24,000 was siphoned away, right? It was a big company that handled the rental. Not the agent. The agent came from a boutique firm, but it was a big company that it was a landlord. And at first when I rented it, I said, cannot be lah, this big company in real estate also should be okay lah, Not true. Until now, I'm still so bitter about me. I'm still, it's a lesson learned, right? And that is something that I realized that, okay, we need proper handover photos, right? $24,000 is a lot of money, right? People say that they got scammed. For me, as an agent, I never even go and take photos myself because, sometimes when we care a lot about our clients, right, we forget about ourselves. Right? We're just as agents like, never mind, I just finish it, just focus on my clients, right?
Yeah.
So when you first entered the leasing market, were there some challenges that you saw, faced, or do you feel that there are some ways, that agents are doing and they feel that this is slightly wrong, or you feel that, we always like to say, what can we do better, right? So is there something better that you felt?
Definitely, as I came in, right, and I wanted to start marketing the units for our clients, right? And I'm doing the handover from them, but of course the unit was previously rented by a different agent. And I'm learning from other people's mistakes. Because I had to take the brunt of the the problems, right? The disagreements between landlord and tenant. So that's where I started to find that the photos and videos were so important in the handover process, and proper inventory list as well. Like not even just writing down table, chair, fridge and all that, but
which is the standard inventory list.
But writing down the brand and model of the fridge. The aircon also, I write the model number down, whether or not it's a original aircon.
Did someone take the aircon down and flip on carousel and then put a fake aircon there?
And sometimes, the aircon remote spoils quite fast. You drop it one time, the screen spoil. Original, like say Daikin remotes can cost like $80 to $100.
It's insane.
But you can easily buy from the mama shop, like
a cheaper one.
$20.
And it saves money for the
but is that the landlord's expectation? You see? You've just bought the original one, $100, and then you just replace it with something $20. So it's aligning these expectations right at the beginning, which prevents disputes in the future.
In my opinion, right, a leasing agent needs to be a sponge, right? And he needs to be someone who is able to withstand the brunt of both the tenant and landlord. Because suddenly both very nice at the start.
Yeah.
But at the end, you usually become enemies, right? And the leasing agent needs to remain objective. Some leasing agents, when they get very emotional, right, they will represent the interest of one party, even though it's wrong.
Yeah.
And I think that as a human, we should uphold justice,
Yes.
not just represent whatever is wrong. That's totally wrong, right? So Lucas has this unique gift. And that's also the reason why when he asked me that he wants to start leasing team, it was more of not, can you do it? It was more of, do you want to do it? Right? Because he is able to empathize from all parties and reach a middle ground. And I've seen landlords and tenants, unfortunately, who were very nasty to him. And he has never came into the office crying or being very negative or demoralized before. He's just like, it happens and I just got to manage. And every time at the end, it's like, thank you, Lucas, you did such a great job. Right? But he had to go through the entire emotional brunt, right? So beside what you mentioned about, being a bit more meticulous, you realize that previous agents aren't that meticulous.
Yeah.
What else? What other challenges do you see? Yeah.
The other thing is marketing of the unit. So when it's a tenanted unit and suddenly you want to sell the unit, the tenant are all going to have their guts.
100%.
It's going to be very difficult to take photos. Yeah. Right? And then it's going to,
home tours, you don't even have to consider sometimes, but we have a way to talk to tenants about it.
Yeah. So of course, we have had creative solutions before that we even managed to sell houses without photos.
Yes.
Right? However, this is not the ideal case.
Yeah.
Okay. So all this understanding at the beginning, of course, is very important.
Yeah.
Right. But good photos at the beginning is also important so that, for example, there was one unit there we had to sell. The tenant refused to let us take photos or videos, right? Which is no problem. The unit has been marketed before, right? By a previous agent. So use their photos to sell. What are the GNA standard? It was far from GNA standard.
We have instances where we couldn't take the photos, right? We see, I might just let the other agents market first, then we come and take. Because this is the secret of how our marketing expertise, not just that, our negotiation, our follow-up, our hunger, our aggression, is the combination of what hits a good price. So anything missing, we feel something is wrong. Yeah. We don't feel that we're doing our best for our sellers. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. So that's when I actually realized that if you go to rental, you go Property Guru and you look for
Carousel.
rentals, right? Yeah,
go
Carousel. I don't know why the photos cannot make it.
And we're talking about thousands, of course not millions, but it's thousands for a $1 million home.
I can kind of explain a little bit why. After being in it for almost a year, the marketing cost for renting a unit it's the same as selling a unit.
Yeah. So why not just focus on selling? Why focus on renting?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what people will think.
Yeah. So that's why people tend to cut corners at the photos. They feel anyway can rent out fast as long as a reasonable price can already. But it's not the best price.
That's right.
You're not doing it at for the best interest of the landlord.
Yes.
And you must think in the future. So next time you went to sell, right? Yeah. Instead of disturbing the tenant, you actually can use these photos again to sell the unit.
Yeah. So that's the reason why for us, right, we're very thankful that we have very supportive landlords who trust us and, they are willing to spend money with us to be able to hit the top price for the unit. And when I entered the rental market, the leasing market, as well as the selling market, I realized that there's a big difference because both marketing standards, right, have to remain high. But the problem here is that the margins that we earn from leasing is way lower than selling, right? And yet we want to uphold high standards, actually of the highest standard. So we have to come in together, talk about how we are able to hit the highest standards and be able to save costs at the same time.
Yes.
Which I can gladly and thankfully say that after 1 year, we managed to find that. And our tenants and our landlords who have experienced us, they're so happy, right? That you'll see reviews on our Google as well, right?
Yeah.
I recall there was this unit at Treasure Tampines, right? That we leased it out within the first viewing to an expat.
Yes.
6,005.
Yeah.
That was the highest and till now still hold the record of the highest.
Yeah.
Our owners were shocked. These owners were investors of mine 4 years back. They made good money off it. They had to rent it out because SSD haven't hit then. And after that, I see the subsequent rental the next few months, 5,003, 5,004, 5,001. The difference was $1,400.
Yes.
In one particular month.
The tenant was not very happy.
And it was evident because when we were selling the unit, the tenant had to join the buyers and tell the buyers, say, hey, don't buy, this place sucks.
Yeah.
Literally. And when we called Lucas down and said, please manage the tenant, and the listing team was there, everybody was very tense. Listing team was there cajoling the tenant. Listing team came in and say, hey, let's do our job because we represent our seller's interest, right? So tell me more. How did we do that? What is the reason why we are able to do that?
actually the number one thing which I was most grateful for, right, is the landlord was willing to listen to us.
Yes.
Because it's Treasure at Tampines is a new launch.
Yeah.
At the time, everyone was just taking their key.
And looking to rent out.
There's no transactions.
Yeah.
So can you imagine for the first person to list, which wasn't us,
Yes.
the first person to list can technically set whatever price he wants.
$50,000.
Yeah. Not that high, but close.
Yes.
It was still astronomical price.
Yes.
It was at like $9,000.
Yes.
Right. Then subsequent listings were at 8,006, 8,005, all around the 8,000 range.
Yeah.
Right. And I did the research. I did the analysis
With
of the surrounding area.
Yeah.
Right. There's no transactions in the particular condo, but I said that the 4 rooms around the area, right, are around 5,009.
Yeah.
Just because it's a new condo doesn't mean you can increase by 4,000.
8K or 9K.
Yeah. Tenant budget is got limit.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. Because they're not dumbass. They're not dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
and this was even an expat rental, which means that it's a corporate rent where the company was paying for them. Even companies won't be dumb.
Yeah. Right. And honestly, newly collected key condo also got its own challenges.
Oh, 100%.
A lot of the renovation going on is dusty.
No furniture, you can't see what's the existing fittings in.
Imagine a viewing coming in, all the sticker, all the blue sticker.
All
on
the
wall.
defects check. Thank you, Uncle Defects. Love you. You have helped me with my home. But yes, all the blue stickers around. And I remembered that this was the reason, the sensitive pricing and the trust of the owners was the reason why we held firm and hit the record price, right? That's the reason why landlords, if you're watching this right now, there is a way to identify like listing, right? The top price your unit can ever achieve. We have found the equation. Just scan the QR code, okay? And then you will send you the equation because sometimes, right, you don't want to follow the crowd, but yet we need to have sensitive pricing so that we can hit the top price. Yes. And we're talking about that, right? Yeah. Great. Okay. And that was how we did. And it was an expat, right? So I believe that there were some challenges that you mentioned to me before about the international market. Like you're like, hey Jervis, I feel that a lot of the tenants we're handling are from the international markets. Yes. So how do we grow a presence there? Yeah.
So we do have partners which actually their portals have a wider reach internationally.
Yes.
And we work with them.
Yes.
Right, this is a bit of our own company secret, so I won't say who.
Of course. Yeah. Wink, wink.
Yeah. But we work with them to kind of reach out.
Protect people.
Yes, protect people to reach out wider than Singapore.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's one way of how we get our tenants in.
We even have capabilities where we are able to help the tenant absorb the security deposit at the start.
Yes.
That gives them the confidence to be able to pay a higher rent eventually. Right?
Yeah. And it's not anything.
It's not shady.
Not shady.
And it is. And another thing is also to be able to help landlords have insurance over the security deposit as well in some way or another, right? So these are the collaborations that we work with, right? And international brands that we have worked with together. So I believe some of the challenges that you saw was number one, you mentioned was the handover condition, right? The relationship with the sellers, the tenants and the landlords. Third, you talk about, the costing when it comes to marketing a unit for leasing. Fourth, you also talked about having international presence, right? I think many people out there want to know what is the difference between the J&A leasing team versus the other independent contractors or independent agents. And also want to know clearly from a landlord perspective, what is the full flow that goes through before the deal is closed, when the deal is closed, and post-sale. Post-lease, not post-sale. Yeah,
post-lease.
How's it like?
So when the team first meets up with the landlord, it's really to understand their needs and their timeline. Yeah. Right? How soon do they need to get it rented out?
Correct. When is the current lease ending?
Yes. Yeah. And again, it's very important to know what's their plan 2 or 3 years down the road.
Yes.
Should we be taking a 1-year tenant or 2-year tenant?
And should we include a clause to allow viewings?
Yes. Correct. Yeah. Correct. And after finding out their needs and their timeline, we go back and research and analyze the surrounding area to really find out what is the best price that the landlord can reach for this unit.
Because
but of course not at a price where it will take 3 months, 4 months to rent out.
1 year to rent.
What is the best price?
Yeah.
And also to rent out.
And most of the landlords, they have their own expected price.
Yes.
Right? And what we want to do is, sometimes landlord's expected price is lower than what we think is the highest price. Not all the time landlord is higher one. Yeah, because they see last transaction and they say, I just finish it, right? But that's when we come in and then we see, what is the reasonable price that we can hit at top, right? And I think there are some things that we do, like propose co-living as well. We have done co-living a lot of times, right?
Yeah.
Partition, calculate the margin, see whether the rent can cover.
My favorite, really. But these are better for units which they are just long-term investment units,
Yes.
long-term holds.
Yes. Yes.
And we do work with a lot of co-living operators, which are trusted ones.
Yes.
We've seen a lot of co-living operators close down
Yes.
when they can't make money.
Because during the boom of the rental market,
Yes.
right? So we say that why do we want to rely on an external party when we even know how to do it ourselves? It's not tough to do what co-living actually entails, right? Just a lot of work. Just a lot of work, right? So after you have established a set price with the owner, what happens next?
So we'll do a condition check of the home.
Yeah.
And at this point, we have to think from the eyes of the tenant.
Yeah.
Right? Because they will be living in this home.
Yeah.
For this profile of tenants,
Yeah.
what is their expectation of the home?
Absolutely.
For some locations, they are not that fussy.
Yeah.
But for some price points and locations,
They're very
fussy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And this helps because with the specialization in leasing, right, we talk to tenants almost on a daily basis. So we know their perspective in the different regions in Singapore, right?
Yeah.
And it's true, there are some tenants that are very fussy, but they're willing to pay high price. Yeah. So actually a bit of tweak, because they want convenience, helps the owner get a high price already, right? So after the site assessment is done, right, then let's say we do the paint work, the staging work, the photos work, the 360 tour work. We are going into some short form videos work.
Yeah.
Then we will put the listing live, right?
Yes.
So once the listing goes live, right, you will start getting inquiries in. How does it work? Like, how do you filter the tenants for the landlords? Well, landlords have their own specific requirements, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you filter that? How do you update them and stuff?
So the team has operations where we call the tenants and we talk to them over the phone.
Yeah.
Right? Find out their expectations, how long they're planning to stay. And this is only through experience, but also, of course, through a questionnaire, that we understand whether or not this tenant profile fits the landlord, whether or not it's risky or not.
Yeah.
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 Mm.
There is a list of people who have high risk that we have to avoid once, right?
Yes.
Of course, we don't say it, but we know, right?
Yeah.
And it's nothing specific, but we know that these individuals sometimes will have a lot of problems when the landlord take up these kind of tenants, right?
Yeah.
And we do know that such information to the tenants allow them to siam a lot of the problems that come after. And they are even willing to accept maybe $100 or $200 cheaper per month just so that they have a fast-free experience.
Yes.
Right? So once the tenant match with the landlord, what happens next? I know you are infamous for your condition report. I've seen it before.
So of course, the thing that my team is most fussy about, which of course I created this operation where not that we don't take videos, sometimes we take videos, but what's most important are high quality photos.
How many?
Of the whole unit.
How many?
So for a recent 1 bedroom that I did.
1 bedroom, huh?
Yeah, 1 bedroom.
One bedroom.
1 bedroom, like 560 square feet.
560 square feet?
Yeah.
Okay. How many photos?
More than 500 photos.
More than 500 photos. And then you got to make sure that you save it on Dropbox, you save it on Google Drive, and keep it for 2 years.
Yes, that's right. But as mentioned, this is the process that solves the most headaches in the future.
Yes. And in the past, when we were doing leasing, it's not that we didn't do leasing in the past. We have done leasing in the past. It's just that we don't want a team to do leasing. We just want like ad hoc. We just do some leasing, right? And because of this kind of standards, right? Wow, it safeguarded our landlord so much.
Yeah.
That when it comes to fighting for the security deposit, it was a fair judgment that the tenant said nothing to say, right? And we also have protected tenants before, high-profile tenants, where the landlords want to take a security deposit, that is proven already, right? And this protect the backside of a lot of landlords and tenants already, and it saved them money. So sometimes we only see the commission that we pay for the leasing, which is not much really, but we don't see how much money we can save. With proper follow-up systems, with proper services, with proper handover by a strong leasing team. So after that is done, then done really lah. Because CA regulation is that once you broker the deal, you're done.
No lah. So this is where tenancy gets a little more challenging.
That's the most challenging part.
The work continues.
The work gets worse.
The work gets worse sometimes, yes. After the handover, right? There is that 30-day period where the tenant is allowed to report any defects or problems in the unit which the landlord has to cover.
Yeah.
Of course, just during this period of time or so, we work with our partners, right, to provide the cheapest services possible. We're going to fix these items as fast as possible and as cheap as possible.
Yes.
Yeah, so that there's no headache also.
Yeah.
And after that, there's still ongoing like matters, whether or not it's the tenant paying on time, whether or not there are some issues which grey area, not sure is it the landlord's issue or the tenant's issue.
Yeah.
Right? Or there are even cases, not my case, not our team's case, but a unit that I took over was because the tenant ran away. what was the remedy and
The damages
what can we
that
do? Yeah, what can we do for them?
And most of the landlords, they want to sue the tenant because legal cost itself is more than the rental that you are collecting.
Yes.
Right? So how do we then protect the interest? Right? One thing that I recall very fondly was the horror stories that you have mentioned.
Yeah.
Right. And I remember that post-lease, right, is always the toughest because you will start handling a lot of very minute problems that is essential for the landlord, right?
Yeah.
With the whole purpose of making sure both parties are happy and making sure that the problem is being solved properly, right?
Yeah.
At the cheapest price possible, right?
Yes.
For the landlord, right? So one thing that I really want to tell the audience is this, if you are a landlord, right, and you are someone who is not a retired old man or old woman, okay? Because a lot of retirees, they are leasing their unit out, right? And you have a proper job, you have a business that you're running, you have multiple properties, please just pay. I'm just speaking from a consumer's perspective. Please just pay that 1 or 2 months rental to get someone to manage everything for you. It's like getting an assistant for your unit for 2 years. Just thinking about it, the amount I pay my assistant, my amazing assistant for this year is way more than 1 to 2 months of rental.
Yeah.
So why not just do that? So it saves you the trouble. I think sometimes when it comes to selling or buying, people are very obsessed with making money. So you need to find a competent team that can help you sell at the top price so you can make the most money. Invest at the top price. That's our key operations. We have been dominating the charts when it comes to prices, selling, dominating the charts when it comes to returns in investments. So the leasing part, I think we are going from a perspective that yes, we want to help you hit the top price, but also we want to help you save time, right? It's like an asset manager. And we always tell our leasing team this, right? Be an asset manager and do not be a runaway agent, a cowboy agent. After it's done, you have taken up the job. The integrity is just to follow through all the way till the end,
yes.
right? But we also need landlords to be understanding, to be able to pay the commission as well, That's just fair, right?
Yeah.
Any other last things you want to share about this leasing team? Horror stories?
Horror stories are
Tresor, Midtown Bay.
Well, I personally just encountered a scam for my landlord. Unfortunately, this was a tenant that I personally brought in, right? The thing is that for new launches, it's very time sensitive.
Yeah.
We want to bring in a tenant as fast as possible. And of course, we did all the background checks, right? And of course, we went through the questionnaire. And actually, there were red flags that came up to me. And I actually called the landlord and I said, this tenant put in an offer.
Yeah.
It's a good offer. But honestly, there are quite a few red flags.
Yeah.
But you also know red flags, right? Sometimes can be because of our own prejudice.
Yeah. Or your own preconceived notions.
Yes. And I just wanted to remove this from the equation, right? So I presented the facts. I even did a bankruptcy check on him. Everything was clean, right? I Googled the name, I do background check, called the company, all that. No problems at all, right? And it turned out to be a scammer.
Yeah.
Right?
How did the scam take place?
So they paid our landlord 2 months. So 1 month security deposit, 1 month advance rent. And then we handed over the unit to the scammer.
Yeah.
Right? Then immediately after that, they started marketing the unit on Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah. But not our photos, not the actual unit, but another unit in the same condo.
Yeah.
The moment somebody inquires, they will say, sorry, this unit gone already.
Yeah.
Then they'll send a picture of the unit. I just rented them.
Yeah.
Right. But they'll rent it for 2 years.
Yeah.
Right. And when they rent it for 2 years, they'll get 3 months, 1 month, 2 months security deposit, 1 month advance rent.
Yeah.
So 3 months.
Yeah. At a lower price, that's why people will buy.
At a lower price, correct.
Yeah.
And they'll try to get as many as possible.
Yeah.
Right. And by the time it's handover day to the tenant will come down and the tenant disappeared.
Yeah.
Or the landlord disappeared.
May not even be living there.
Yeah, correct. So thankfully, we kept tabs on it.
Yeah.
And within 3 days, we found out that this was happening.
Yeah.
And then we immediately took back the unit.
Yeah.
In the morning.
Did the police come?
Yes. Yeah. The commercial affairs department called me.
Yeah.
And it's still an ongoing case.
Yeah.
So I won't reveal
of course.
what. Yeah.
That's the reason why I think a leasing team has to be someone that takes ownership and accountability.
Yeah.
Because usually at that point of view, the CA's regulation is that the moment the unit is leased out, that's it. And it is actually a known fact that agents don't have to continue serving. Right? It's just bonus service. But that's why find a team that's high ownership, right? To guide it must be a stressful season for the landlord who have experienced this, right?
Actually, I think It was stressful.
Yeah.
But think
But the
about
stress
it.
came to you.
No, but think about it. He actually took $9,000
Yes.
from the scammer. And then within 2 days, I closed down the operations. I don't think there any time to actually scam.